Hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Going to go ahead and get this all set up. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and check everything out. Hope we're all doing well today. Welcome back to the week number 4 of the August stained glass pattern kits. And of course, we've got our first 3 weeks here with the beagle, the acorns, and the butterfly. And now for the week number 4, we do have our cat pattern. So we are going to go ahead and get started with that. And so without further ado, of course, the first step, as always, is to get the glass picked out. And hey, Cindy, thanks for joining us today. All right, so with our cat, I'm probably going to have to look at my notes here. But I think that we're going to be using these 3 colors of our kit. Let me go through and look and check my notes. Okay, let's see. And hope you're all doing well today. Had a little bit of a break last week and ready to get back to it. And so what I think we're going to go ahead and do, let's see. We're probably going to use some of the clear texture for a lighter color, kind of in the face area. And a lot of the darker colors also, the darker and lighter tan. This, we're actually going to use this grayish glass for the sort of two-toned, and then we're going to use the 2 lighter and darker tans and browns for the, for the furs, kind of like a Garfield look. So that is kind of what we're going to be going for here. And I think it's going to come out really good. And of course, we all love our animals, especially our cats. Hey, Homemade, thanks for joining us. All right. So, what we are going to do for the facial area, I'm probably going to use some of these lighter glass. Hey, Mary, thanks for joining us. So we're going to get these all laid out here. Let's see. And this is going to help us kind of pick where we want these. Now for the lighter tan, I'm going to pick for the tail. And I am going to mark which direction I want each of these pieces to be. So let's see, probably something like this, like this. Probably do this one, something like this. There we go. Okay. Now, let's see here. How do we want to do this? I think that we are going to do this one with the lighter tan. So we'll kind of get it over here. And we'll go ahead and do this one lighter also. And then this middle one for that kind of two-tone, I'm going to do this in the darker. And I think we're going to go back to the lighter for this one. And then we are going to, for the top area, we're probably going to do the 2 ears with the darker. I think we're going to do... Let's see. This one we'll go ahead and do as the darker. And I think these three kind of around the face, we'll do it the lighter. And then I think we'll go back for the little chin to be in the darker color. And so that is going to be our setup for this panel. Hey Connie, thanks for joining us. All right, so we've got all of our glass placed here. We're gonna go ahead and get our glass cutter out. As always, we're using our pencil grip cutter, and I like to kind of position it with one of my fingers on the cutter head here, and then just with a constant pressure, we're going to start separating these pieces. And so what I like to do is to get all of the pieces separated from the main glass, and then we can cut them down from there. And I hope that everyone's doing well today. Had a good little break last week. Ready to get back at it today for the 4th week of the August kit. And this is the last day of August, so I will also be going through and selecting the 3 winners. And I actually didn't get around last month to sending out the gift cards to the winners. So I'm going to do both of those probably on Tuesday when I get back into the office after Labor Day. So that is the plan for that. And if you're not aware, the free giveaway, there's a monthly giveaway in the free Stained Glass Mastery community for stained glass supplies. And so as long as you're in there posting, you'll be entered automatically. Every month, the top of the leaderboard is awarded that those free gift cards, those top three positions. So we're going to go ahead and check that out here pretty soon. Now with the glass here pretty much separated, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our free camera. And we're going to get some close-ups on our glass cutting here. So again, we are separating these a little bit further so that we do not mistakenly cut into them. And that'll kind of give us the best results. So that's normally how I like to do it. And so when you're cutting these patterns out, I like to, you just keep the scoring wheel right on the edge of those patterns. And if you're gonna do a cut, you might as well do one on the edge of a pattern, and that will save you a cut a little bit later on. So that's how I like to do it, so long as it doesn't kind of compromise the any pieces here. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to do that, but most of the time you can kind of manage. It really depends how tightly you position them on the glass. Okay, we've got those. Now we've just got our kind of lighter glass here. Now these smaller pieces, you have to really make sure they're kind of stuck on there well. They do have a tendency to kind of move around a little bit. So that's pretty much all of our pieces here. We're going to go ahead and get to actually cutting all these out. Now what I like to do is to score all the pieces first and then go back and break them with our grosures. So let's go ahead and take a look a little bit closer here. So I will just bring that cutter right on the edge of that glass, just like that. And with most glasses, you'll kind of hear that little scratchy sound. That's just a sound of that kind of scratch in the glass with the scoring wheel. And that'll be the weak point that our glass will hopefully break on. That's kind of the trick. Call this a glass cutter. Really, it's just a scoring tool. It's not an actual cutter. The separation occurs when you apply the pressure and break it. And so August, we had a few animals here. We had a cat and a dog. Wondering if we have any cat lovers here. And I think this is actually our second cat that we've done. Yeah, it actually is. Over here, I forget which month this was. We did do one here too. Lots of animals that month. So another cat. I think that people might like that. I actually am unfortunately allergic to cats. I do like them a lot, but I am allergic. But not allergic to these cats that we're making today. And like always, if you have any questions, be sure to ask them. I can enter them here in real time and of course do a demonstration as needed. Mary is a cat lover. Got a few cats yourself? I think that we might have talked about this last time. We made the other cat. Got the little tail here. Kind of a long, narrow piece. And whenever you're cutting these curves, I like to just swing my elbow, and that'll kind of help you keep that edge nice and rounded. And we're coming up to our last piece, kind of an awkward shaped piece, but it'll just take a few scores till we get all the way around it. And right here we've got a pretty tight inside radius, so we're going to do a few step downs. That'll just make it much easier for us to separate this without hopefully having any damaged pieces. Okay. What else do we need here? Okay, we are ready for our grosers, of course. And I've got a few here. And not long ago, I was actually having a lot of problems with these being a little bit too seized up. Put some of that cutter oil on there. Worked pretty well. It's been a while since I used these, but they seem to be coming back to life. So if you don't have any WD-40, you can try out some of that cutter oil. Actually worked pretty well. Since it works pretty well for it not being the primary purpose it's meant for. What I'm going to do is actually remove a little bit of this too. Already collecting quite a bit of debris here. And that's kind of the magic of that little step down. You can just take little parts out. I'm actually going to use the mini grozers. These work really well for those two. And we don't have any breaks yet. And the wrong way anyway, so far so good. A few rough edges, we can take care of that on the grinder. And we're going to go ahead and cut this down. Kind of like doing a step down. Just give us a little bit more leverage. Because whenever you kind of get to this tip right here, it's really weak on that point. It's liable to just break right across your workpiece. Alright, now this piece is going to need some grinding for sure. But we're at a good start for it. Put that aside. Move on to the tail piece. We'll just take these down. We need to cut this just like that. Now, this is getting a little bit kind of hard for me to hold. This piece is not very big, so I'm going to take the other grozers and hold it with one of them like this. And then I can kind of just like that. Perfect. And we can clean the rest of that up. There we have it. So you can see the big mess of debris here we are accumulating. And that is why I really like to do the scoring all at once. Let's see, you're going to have to, I like to do another step down right here, because again, we're right there at that point. It's really weak on that spot. Even right here, I probably would not be opposed to another step down. It's just a really weak spot right there. I think we might be, there we go, just like that. Again, we're getting kind of a small spot here. There we go. There we go. I was able to get them without the other pair of grozers, but you never know. You could slice your thumb open trying to do that. Again, another really small spot here. And I used to kind of just use the table as leverage and break it on the table. But the extra pair of grozers is just so much easier and more reliable. Now on this piece, we're going to want to do a few step downs. We've got a bunch of little inside radiuses here. And they're not super shallow, but the piece is kind of small. And if you're not careful, you know, it'll just break right across. There we go. Got this little piece right here. There we go. Way too small. Need the grozers for this one. There we go. Let's see here. this is going to be a little bit too small too. We're going to go ahead and get the grocers out. There we go. These are the little ears right here. There we go. And our last piece before it is time to begin with the grinding. Oops. So right here we have a little break. So that's why you kind of want to do those step downs. You have a little break like that. So we'll have to cut a new piece. Not the end of the world. What we are going to do is put our pattern down here, and then we're going to make a little bit of space and remove some of this debris. Sweep it into the trash can. There we go. Just like that. And we are ready to continue. Make sure this is all down nicely. Go ahead and separate this. After a few taps, you can get that kind of sharper corner cut. Not too bad. Now, I think what I'm going to try to do this time is actually separate this part first, and of course we are going to do a few step downs to make sure we don't make another mistake, because that's kind of a really weak spot. And right here's another weak spot. We're going to go ahead and do another step down there too. Something like that. I think with this we should be able to get through. Go ahead and tap this through. There we go. I think we can, there we go. This is where it broke last time. There we go. Just that little step down really makes a big difference. And there you have it. Got our piece. So now, let's go ahead and do another sweep right here. We are ready to begin our grinding. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and lift this up. That'll give us a little bit of a better view here. Okay. Put this about right here. I like to cover up my little foiler from all the grinder spray out. And I actually need a little bit more water. I'm going to go get some water really quickly. All right, we got our water filled up here. We can kind of shoot our little sponge here, try to saturate it all up. And then of course we're gonna get our little glass bath and fill that up. You don't need to fill it up too much, maybe about right there should be plenty. Go ahead and turn this on. So we're just going to pretty much grind all the color down to the white. And it's really not a whole lot to it. These vinyl patterns definitely make it really easy to get all the way down to the glass. And we use a plotter to cut all these. However, many people use their Cricut machines. And I'm gonna have to look into that. See what that's all about. So after it's done, I will just do one more pass all the way around. I find that it makes the pieces fit a little bit better. Now this one's a little bit of a bigger piece here. It's gonna be harder to fit in our little glass bath. I'll probably just have to do a little extra cleaning on that one when the time comes. And of course, for the really small pieces, you want to kind of stick it down before you get started. And I find that whenever you are trying to grind these smaller pieces, you can't really lay it down flat as easily. Well, it's not too bad. This one's a little bit big enough to do it still. When it gets really small, I find myself having to kind of hold the piece in my hand. And even right now, it's kind of hard to get to this spot right here on the side. There we go. And we can just check our piece really quickly. Whenever the glass gets really wet, the patterns, especially when they're really tiny, come off pretty easily. So you're going to want to kind of just check them out. That's pretty good. I'm just going to do a little bit more with our 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to do one more pass, like always. And before we foil them, we're going to do a little check. Make sure everything is the right size. Go ahead and push this down. Oh, well, I'll take off our little pattern. And I actually forgot I would like to do one more little pattern. There we go. Moving on to the next piece. And of course, the better you do with your cutting, the less grinding you'll have to do. I like to go ahead and do a pass on all my pieces. This seems to make everything really allow that foil to adhere to a nice right angle surface instead of it having an uneven surface for that copper foil to adhere to. That's the way I like to do it. You don't necessarily need to do that, but I like to just go over every single piece. And this cat, it's a little bit of a tougher cut so far. So this one, I'm not sure I would really recommend it as a first project. Normally, a straight line geometric pattern will be kind of your best bet if you're really kind of a beginner. So that is something you're probably going to want to look for. And we do have a few of those in the Stained Glass Mastery community, so you can check that out. Cut our little tail here. So definitely for me, the grinder is kind of a must. I really recommend having it. It is just really versatile and helps to, you know, fix a lot of mistakes. Oh, and Mary mentioned you got one of these grinders off Marketplace this week. How do you like it? Is it the Gryphon? But this is a, they call it the Gryphette. It's a little tiny one. I've always liked it quite a lot. Just gonna spray these down a little bit more. We've got our few more little pieces here. Go ahead and check this one. Yeah, I think I like them too. They're pretty small, compact, and I have had some questions about whether you should use a grinder in like an apartment setting. I would say not late at night. It will make some noise, but it's not so bad that you know, during the day on a weekend or something like that, I don't think you're gonna have any problems. So in case you're wondering if a grinder would be feasible for you, I think overall, pretty much in all situations, it's a good idea. Personally, what I would say. And our last piece. Make sure we've got some water in there. Go ahead and do one last pass here. And now we need to go through and clean all of our pieces. This one I just finished it up, so it doesn't quite fit in our little bath, but we can go ahead and just clean it up just before it all dries up. I'm going to make sure to really get those edges really well. And we are going to be setting them on top of our pattern here. And Cindy asked how I would suggest holding those tiny pieces. So for me, you could try using like some grosers. I don't think it'll work that well. I think too, in this particular grinder, it's got a little bit of a void between the wheel and the table. And that makes it hard. The little piece will just slip right in there. If there was no void there, if you could rig something up, either make a new little top or do something to get this table closer to the wheel, I think you would not have to worry about holding them. They just wouldn't fall through. So you might want to look into something like that. I've tried kind of using the tools like a grosers to hold them. It was kind of tough for me. You know, they kept like slipping in there, and I was afraid to kind of squeeze too tightly, it'll break it. It's kind of what I was worried about. Let's see, what else could you pop? Oh, another thing, ever since I put this 1/4-inch wheel on top and dropped this 1-inch wheel down lower, it's really hard for me to hold the little piece in there. If I just remove this and bring this back up to where I had it, I think I'll have a much easier time grinding those little pieces if the actual grinding surface is up higher. So that's something that I think I'm going to either get another grinder for the little 1/4-inch wheel or do something. I'm not sure exactly what yet, but this shaft right here on this grinder, it's just a little bit too short. I wish that it might be a little bit taller. So for that reason, I might get another little grinder, or maybe look for one with a taller shaft. And then I could kind of keep this on there a little higher, and it'll be easier for me to use. Just kind of my thoughts on that. And Mary mentioned there is a pair of pliers made for that, so I'll have to look into that, because occasionally I do have a little bit of a hard time myself holding onto those tiny little pieces, and it kind of just go kind of slowly, little by little, till I get it done. You know, that's the way I've been doing it with the little tiny pieces. Just do a little bit till it gets done. Got our little cat here. Got a lot of water in our little bath today because some of the pieces were pretty big. Kind of using this little disposable cup. It doesn't have a huge diameter, so the pieces have to kind of sit upright, and you need a lot of water to keep it all submerged. And I wasn't able really to submerge it all fully, but got it pretty much good enough. Mary mentioned that's why she got the second grinder for that 1/4 inch. But yeah, I think I might do that unless I can find one with a taller shaft. I think we stock maybe 5 or 6 models of grinders, so I'll probably look through, see if anything does work like that. If not, I think I'm just gonna have to do that too, because it's kind of a hassle to switch the little bits in and out. And I've got access to those grinders anyway, so okay, do you go? Okay, there you are, right there in the face. Got a little earpiece right here. All right. Here we go. There are little pieces in there. Hard for my hand to fit in there to get them out. Might have to pour these out. Here's one. I know we've got one more in there. There we go. I got it. Okay, good. Got all of our pieces. And that little piece that's near the eye, I'm not sure if we're going to foil that fully yet, or if we are going to leave it with a little white dot. I think we might leave it with a little white dot. I think it'll look a little bit better that way. Okay, now where did this go? I think it was on the front of the face. Oh no, it must have been right down there somewhere. There we go. And our last piece here. And everything, we're going to see if it fits well. I think this amber piece needs to be trimmed down just a little bit. You want to kind of make all these little adjustments right now before we put some foil on there, because then it's really a lot more work to get it done. Okay, there we go. So we've got our little pieces here, and we are ready to begin our foiling. So we'll get out the Magnafoiler here, right into our workspace. See if I can give you a good angle of this. It's been a while since we have used it. Go ahead and probably pull out a little bit since it's kind of exposed there. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Oops, we got a little bit of debris right there. I'll clean that off before we actually put that foil on. So it's good to kind of keep an eye on your pieces as you are working on them. This might be a little bit too close. Let's see if I can back this up a little bit. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Of course, at the stop point, I'd like to just fold this thing over. Sometimes I'll even use the little fid. Bring it down, open it up just a little bit, and then we'll bring it out. There we go. We'll go ahead and just fold everything over with our fingers. This light right here might be a little bit too bright. Now it's pretty much ready to burnish. Put this aside for now. Let's see. I like to use the magnifoiler here. Been using it for a while. I think we've done maybe 5 to 10 projects with it. It's been working out pretty good. At first I wasn't really sure, but I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty good product. And we've got this kind of big inside radius here. With those, I like to go ahead and use the little fid. And I'll just gradually kind of push it down. And it a lot of the time keeps it from having any little rips. See that? So we'll do the same thing on the other side. This is honestly the best way I've seen to do this. I've tried it, kind of heating it up with my finger, going back and forth. But honestly, nothing has compared to that in terms of the speed and consistency of the result, which we like. So that has been a really nice thing. If you haven't given that a shot yet, you should. Works really good. And it's quick. Kind of surprised how well it works for how quick and easy it is. And again, we're gonna hold down a good bit of this so it's easy to overlap it. And then we're getting right here, we'll just open it up, pull it up. Got maybe about ½ inch overlap right there. That's about all you need. Got another inside curve here. Go ahead and knock that down with our fid, just like that. And if it is kind of a shallower curve, I'll use my finger to kind of do that one. But the deeper curves, I don't really like to risk it. I don't like to have those little tears in there. I just don't think it looks as good. There we go. Centers all that foil up really well. Oops, we've got a little bit of debris right here. You just never know. Sometimes you can miss these little spots. So it's good to really keep an eye on that. Oops. Sometimes this will come out of the little foiler. You just have to open it back up with the little lever. There you have it. Getting back to the start point, go ahead and fold all that down. Overlap it, pull it out, we'll snip it off. Oops, I just did the thing with my finger, trying to push it down, and it ripped on that side. Let's see how it goes on this side. On this side, no rips. Fortunately, on this side, I already did it, but we can do a little repair on there. See how that goes. A little bit of a difficult time with this inside curve here. can be sometimes a little bit easier to kind of fold that foil over on the tabletop instead of trying to hold it in your hands, but I won't be able to keep anything on camera if I do that. So I'm trying to keep it all right there. We're going to put a little piece of foil over that and trim it down with the X-Acto blade, but we'll go ahead and take care of that when we get closer, or after we do the burnishing. Would be the best time to do that. Now we're getting to some of the smaller pieces, so what I like to do, kind of stick it in there, pull it out, and I'll just kind of use this as a dispenser. And I'll just kind of hand foil it. And this seems to work out pretty good too. So we'll snip that down. Just kind of fold all that foil down. In the corners it tends to bunch up a lot. You kind of have to force that down too, especially when the burnishing comes along. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. Now this one's got a lot of little curves, so I'm going to go ahead and use the little fid to kind of work them straight down. There we go. Okay, we can finish that up when we do that final burnishing. This one's definitely too small to fit in there. We'll just do this one by hand. Got the little eyeball area. This piece is pretty small. We can choose to keep it full soldered, or we can choose to keep it with a little bit of the gray showing, kind of like a little eyeball area. Wonder what you guys think that we should do. If we should keep it with just a little gray, or if we should black it all out with some solder. I think the little gray would work a little bit better personally. And Mary mentioned got a tabletop foiler on Marketplace. Let me know what you think about it. I personally haven't had much luck with it. But you might, I mean, I still think it's better than hand foiling. I think it's a little bit easier in terms of the speed and all that. It doesn't burnish it, of course, but I do think it applies it you know, it's a little bit of a learning curve like everything, but I think it applies it faster and probably on average more accurately than the hand foiling. Now, if you've been hand foiling for a really long time, that might not be the truth for you, but at least for me, I was able to pick that up much faster than the hand foiling in terms of the speed, you know, pieces per second type thing. And yeah, I think so, Mary. I think I'm going to lean towards showing a little bit of that gray. We've got a few more pieces here, and then it's time to get to the burnishing. There we go. Little earpiece. It can be tricky to get these little pieces here. We might need to start making these patterns a little bit bigger. My original idea was to make them about 6 by 11, I think. There's an envelope size that you can ship with a stamp. And so that was kind of the original idea as far as the size. It's about this size, pretty much, that envelope is. And what I might end up doing, instead of shipping one little pattern, 6 by 11, I might do, you know, on the same sheet, I might do one per sheet. And then that will make the pieces a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to use. Now the only problem is it's going to use a lot more glass. So I'm a little bit worried, you know, I haven't tried them that big, but I'm hoping that they will, you know, we'll still have enough glass with the 4 pieces per project. I mean, so far we've had a ton of extra glass, so I'm not too worried about it. But you really just, you know, it's hard to tell until you've actually started to do the projects. So maybe on the next month, I think we'll go ahead and do that for September. I'm going to go ahead and double the size of the pieces here. And so this cat will have taken up the full area here. That'll make the pieces a little bit bigger. I think it'll be a little easier to work with. And hopefully we'll have enough glass for it, but we'll see. We're going to give it a shot. We're going to give it a shot in September. So please be patient if you do purchase those kits. I'm hoping we're going to have enough glass. I know for sure we've had well more than enough with the current size. So worst case scenario, we might have to go back to that. But as of right now, we are going to give that a shot for September. And then we won't have to worry about the small pieces as much. Because I have noticed that being a little bit cumbersome even on my end. And I do think that the patterns will still work out. You know, it might come down to if you break a piece in cutting, you might have to add a little copper foil line, which is not the end of the world. You know, most of the time, it'll look good still. You know, that would be in order to avoid actually ruining the, or having to cut another piece, if it's a large piece. So we're going to give that a shot, see what happens. And of course, if you are making these at home, you can always just enlarge it. You know, if you're using your own patterns too. So this is the one we need to do a little repair right here. We're going to add a little bit of foil. then we are going to get our little X-Acto blade. And we're just going to trim this down right to size, just like that. Do the same on this side, and then we will okay, there we go. And there we go, our first piece. Okay. So we'll go ahead and keep stacking these up. And our September kit is coming up starting next week. So if you're interested in that, check it out in the school community. And I will, let's see, should I be putting I'll put some links too in the descriptions. And I think that will, not in the descriptions, in the shopping links. If you look for the shopping links, it'll link you right, it'll have the picture of the product and it'll link you right to the product if you want to purchase that. So if you are interested in that, you can check that out. And of course, all the tools that you see me using in all of our videos, we do sell. So if you're interested in any of those tools, you can check that out on our store at calvineglass.com. And Mary mentioned that using the angled end of the FID on the sides works great if you have glass laying on the flat on the table. Yeah, oh yeah, I like that too. I know that sometimes I have a problem, I tear it if I push a little bit too hard. I really like this curved side, and it sort of just seems to find the right amount of pressure. At least that's kind of what I've been noticing. But I especially like this for the texture, the tip of this FID. To get into all that texture can be really helpful. And of course, when I do the burnishing, I like to do the edges first, try to push out any of that air and get them ready to, get the faces ready to be pushed down so we don't trap any air in there. And then just applying a pretty consistent force, not too hard, especially these are flat glasses, so they're really easy to burnish. Sometimes with the textured glasses they can tear and it can be a little bit more cumbersome. You have to take a little bit more time with those. And Mary, I'm going to check out the October kit. I'm not sure why it says that. I'm going to have to check that out. Definitely we've got them in stock. Thanks for letting me know. I know that sometimes when I make those products, actually those we don't keep a running stock. I know for sure we've got all those materials all the time for all the kits. So for those we don't pre-make them, we just kind of pull them as they're purchased. But I picked glasses that we have like 100 sheets of. So I know that it's, you know, the big sheets where we can make like 10 kits per sheet. So, yeah, I know for sure we will never run out of the glass that I picked for every single kit. I think like the least amount of sheets that we have in stock, that we keep in stock at any time, are like maybe 10 or 15 of the big sheets, which you can make like 6 to 10 kits worth of each of those sheets. So we don't sell that many kits each month. So definitely we can definitely there in stock. I'm going to have to check to see what's up with that. All right, got our little tail. Now for the tiny pieces. Everyone's the bane of everyone. Little tiny pieces. They are definitely a little more cumbersome to work with. So if we can get that ironed out, I think it's gonna work out good. Of course, this is the first time, at least to my knowledge, that I've seen anyone do the sort of a monthly kit like this with 4 glasses making different projects. So it's a little tricky trying to make sure everything's gonna work out properly and not have people without enough glass and stuff like that. So just trying to work out all those kinks here. There we go. Oh, awesome, Mary. I'm glad that you like those kits. Yeah, I've been enjoying doing these. I put together 12 or 13 of them. So I know we've got kits through the end, definitely through the end of this year, probably into April, May, something like that. And, you know, already pretty much ready. So they just kind of need videos, and then we'll be kind of complete with those nice video guides and everything. And I certainly appreciate everyone showing up to catch these live every single week. There we go. And we've got our tiny little pieces left. Kind of just have to do your best with these. There we go. Got this little, I think this is like a chin piece. We've got our multicolored cat here. All right. See if we can get this in there. There we go. Everything's fitting together pretty good so far. Quite a few little pieces right there in the head area. There we go. Okay, good. Yeah, it would have been good. Fortunately, this kit did not have any green glass. Now, if you do have green glass, you of course can substitute. I know that in our past kit, we did have a blue-greenish glass, and that we did the other cat with, and I believe that we used it for that glass, for the eye of that cat. And so if you did purchase that kit, you can of course substitute that in for the whitish glass. All right. Yes, a calico cat. There we go. All right, got our last little piece here for the ear, and we are ready to begin soldering. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the iron, and while that is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and get my blue gloves on, and let's see. We're going to need, of course, some flux. Oops, a little thing came off. Put that back in there. And we're going to go ahead and mix this up, make sure it's all ready to go. We've got our, actually still have our little corrugated pipe here for the exhaust. Let's see, go ahead and get some tools out of our way. Gonna get our solder out. Put our glass cutter away. I'm going to use this little X-Acto blade to do some fine adjustments here. Sometimes my fingers can be a little bit too crude, knocking stuff all over the place. Okay. Leave that right there where it's at. We're going to do a few little dabs of flux here. And I've got it to where it's pretty much just dripping off. I'm not even hardly touching the surface here. I'm trying to keep from moving any pieces around as much as I can. It's kind of funny, this brush is just all destroyed, but it works perfectly. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and see if our iron is heating up. It is. Unspool this. Oh, we need to go ahead and turn on our... All right, we've got some suction here. All right, and we've got heat. I'm gonna go ahead and grab our little wire brush. Oh, and let me, of course, try to move this to a little bit of a better spot. I like to just brush this thing off, get all that junk off there. And now we can go ahead and try to tack solder this thing all together. Sounds like bacon sizzling. Oops. There we go. Piece was a little bit off. I think I moved stuff around just a little bit. There we go. All right. We are pretty much all one piece. So we can move this pattern to the side. And are ready to really drop some flux on there. Just like this. There we go. There we go. Trying to do a decent bead here. And I like to leave it on as heavy as I can on the perimeter. It'll make the edge beading just a little bit easier when the time comes. Cutting this all, oops. There we go. Want to have a little bit of gray showing there. And we are going to go ahead and touch everything up before we finish. All right. We can go ahead and flip it to the back side. Apply some flux. Try to do some nice beads if we can. This is going to be pretty much the finished solder. To unspool this a little bit. And I keep intending on getting some more 6040 or some lead free. Right now I'm using 5050. It's a little bit of a higher melting temperature than the 6040, and so it is not as runny. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit sometimes. And sometimes the more you mess with it, the worse it gets. Just keep that in mind. I think we might be getting a little bit of flux from the backside, kind of trapped in between the two sides. And of course, we are going to need our heat-resistant gloves for the edge beading here shortly. And it's crazy to think we're already in August. The end of August, I should say. We're about to be in September. Today is the last day of August. What a year it has been so far. Try to smooth everything out nicely, much as we can. Smaller pieces have a tendency for the solder to connect over the face of the glass. Ends up becoming a little lake of solder. You probably want to avoid that. And now with this side pretty much done, I think we're going to want to set up a little hook. We're going to do it right here between the two ears. Hey Bobby, thanks for joining. I'm glad that you are liking the videos and you found the patterns. Yes, next months are looking like another good time. I'm actually trying to remember what we are doing next month. Because I end up making these, you know, 6 months ago. So it's hard for me to remember exactly what we are doing. But I do remember them all looking like they're going to be pretty cool. Okay, so we got our little hook made. I like to hold it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to want to go ahead and grab my heat-resistant glove. Yes. Where are you? Here it is. Okay. Because we're going to possibly be needing to hold something. Okay, now the way I like to do this is put this on the edge here, kind of like this, because I need to, looks like we're torturing the cat. Okay. Your sibling ever do that to you when you were younger? They just hold you over the edge of the bed? It's kind of funny. Okay. So, we've got this right here. We're going to flux that up, and what we're going to do is we're going to heat this up and let it submerge into that solder. Let that heat conduct through the wire. Oh look, this thing is super hot, this iron. It just did it really fast, just like that. See, it kind of submerges in there. And then we're just going to want to cover this up a little bit. Kind of round out. It's got those, you know, I like to do a little braided wire for that, you know, that little hook, and so it really smooths it out if you put that extra solder on there, trying to make it just look nice and rounded. And we've got, Bobby mentioned a cardinal flower, penguin, and a watermelon slice. Excellent. I do remember those now. I'm especially excited for the penguin. I think pretty much everyone loves penguins. There's really no reason not to. You know, when you think about it. But anyway, okay. So we are going to, now we've got a ton of solder here. We really put it on heavy this time, and I like that we did that because I think it's going to look better. It's going to be stronger, and it's going to be a little bit easier to edge bead because we've got a lot of material to work with already locally stored on the piece all the way around it. So we might have to do a few little touch-ups here and there at the end, which is to be expected. And it looks like this foil has already received a little bit of flux because it is taking the solder pretty well and easily. And I did just do this area. It's pretty hot on my hand here, so I'm glad I got these gloves. Even with the gloves, it's still a little bit warm. Got a lot of these solder droplets. We're going to have to go back and kind of clean all that stuff off. But we're making some good progress here today. The cat is the conclusion of the August kit. That's a good one. I'm liking how this came out so far. Ooh, a little bit hot. Just be careful. Oop, fell right on my glove here, but it sort of just rolled right off. So that's definitely, oh, and that's fell on there too. Definitely want to have some heat resistant gloves. It's it is a minimum requirement. We're getting about where we started. And then we need to kind of go back around and on both sides make sure everything looks pretty good, nice and neat. This is the front side. Really want to make sure everything looks good here, much as we can. Remember, sometimes the more you do, the worse it gets. Give this, oops, it's a little bit splattery. I think it has some trapped flux in there. See what we can do. There we have it. Now let's go ahead and check out the back side here. I think we need to get our little wire brush, try to brush off a lot of these little solder droplets. And I would say we're pretty much ready to patina. Everything is looking really good. I am happy with every way it looks. We've got a little bit of copper showing right there. And Bobby asked, is the wire pre-tinned? Yes, it is pre-tinned. And I think we sell it in 18 gauge, 20 gauge, 16 gauge. Quite a few. Quite a few. And definitely, I'm sorry, Mary is the one who asked that. I'm sorry. Bobby said, definitely gloves and log pants. I got caught with shorts on and solder drip. Not good. Yep. Yeah, that's why I like to wear my apron too. Definitely keeps all the solder off your clothes, ideally. Hopefully. Okay, so we are ready to do some patina. And we are going to use our little rag right here. I'm just going to drop a little bit on here. There we go. We'll go through and apply our black patina. We did use a black backed foil today. And not that it really mattered because the gloss is pretty much opaque. But I normally just like to do the black patina. I just think it looks good. It's just what I normally do. I've done a few projects where we left it silver. We tried copper on green, on lead-free solder before. It did not work out at all. It was really a big fail. But I have done the copper on, I believe it was, I think that it was, which one was it? I think it was 60/40 and it worked well. I was pretty happy with it. I mean, it doesn't look like the shiny copper foil, but it did look coppery and not green or something like that. But with that, everybody, that's pretty much the conclusion of our August kit with the cat here. I hope that everyone enjoyed it. Again, check out the free Stained Glass Mastery community. And of course, we are going to be starting with the September kit next month. So if you are interested in that, check that out. And of course, if you haven't seen our free Stained Glass Mastery community, where we've got tons of free resources, video guides, and a community of like-minded artists that, to ask questions, share projects, everything. So it's a really great place for you if that sounds good to you. And here is our cat as the fourth and final project of the August Stained Glass kit. So again, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you next week for the first week of the September kit. Goodbye.